Hello, and welcome to Deakin University's 2022 Virtual Open Day. A warm welcome to you all. It's great to have you with us here today as we explore your options for studying early childhood education here at Deakin University. This video will provide you with general information about our early childhood education courses, including the dual early childhood education and primary degree. And the video will be followed by a live Q&A where we will answer any questions that you might have. My name is Dr. Mandy Cook and I am the course director for the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and the dual degree, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge country. As we gather today, physically and virtually dispersed, let us take a moment to recognise the traditional lands on which we are collectively located. Let us acknowledge the elders, past, present and emerging, of all the lands on which we work and live, and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. So, you might be wondering, why study early childhood teaching? Well, the importance of the early years is receiving growing recognition in Australia and around the world. Both national and international research identifies that the most important and rapid learning and development of a person's whole life occurs during early childhood. In particular, brain development is most rapid between the ages of birth to 5 years. And it is the role of an early childhood teacher to support, facilitate and scaffold this learning and development to inspire the future generation of both children and adults. The importance of this vital time of life is being recognised by governments across Australia, and Australia is currently experiencing an increased number of jobs within the early childhood education profession. This is particularly the case within the state of Victoria, where the government has committed to funding both 3- and 4-year-old kindergarten programs. This means that all children within Victoria are guaranteed to have access to 2 years of funded kindergarten education, which is great news for early childhood teacher graduates, because it means you're going to be at the front line of leading change within the early childhood sector and also the education that's provided to young children across the state. It also means that early childhood education graduates are going to be on the front line for a wide range of job opportunities that are becoming available in early childhood education. Because of the growth of early childhood education and the recognition of its importance, a range of incentives and initiatives are available in Victoria to encourage people to study an initial early childhood education teaching degree. So the future in teaching, and particularly early childhood teaching, has never looked so bright, and there's never been a better time to become an early childhood teacher. So why study early childhood education at Deakin? Well, at Deakin, you are guaranteed to get a world-class education. Whether you're enrolled as a face-to-face student at our Burwood campus or as an online student in our cloud campus, you're guaranteed to experience a wide range of innovative teaching practices that will support your learning and professional development as a teacher across your course. It is this innovative teaching and the support that's offered by the faculty, the School of Education and the wider university that has led to Deakin being ranked #1 in student satisfaction for 11 years running. This fantastic achievement is because of the hands-on learning and practical experience that you'll gain through our professional experience program, which I'll talk a little bit more about later in this video. It is also because you're taught by experts in the field. They are experts in the field because they undertake research in the field of early childhood education, but also because they are former early childhood education teachers themselves. And so you are guaranteed that what you learn is both relevant and authentic. This is Caitlin. Caitlin is a graduate of our dual degree, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary. Caitlin speaks excitedly about her most rewarding experience as part of her course at Deakin, which was professional experience. Caitlin says, "The most rewarding aspect of my course at Deakin has been the learning opportunities gained throughout the professional experience program. I've had the privilege of working alongside children and mentors in settings from birth to grade 6 who have inspired growth in all areas of my teaching practice and enriched my love for learning and my confidence in teaching." I'll share with you now an overview of both the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and the dual degree, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary. The Bachelor of Early Childhood Education is a 3-year, 24 credit point course that takes 3 years to complete if studying full-time. There are offerings for both on-campus and online learning, giving you the flexibility to learn in the way that suits you best. We have pathway options for holders of Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care. If you hold a Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care, you are eligible to receive credit for the first 8 credit points of the course. These 8 credit points equate to the whole first year of the course, which means that you will enter the course in the second year, and you'll only need to complete 2 years out of the 3-year program, which equates to the remaining 16 credit points. The Bachelor of Early Childhood Education is professionally accredited with the CEQA, or the professional accrediting body for early childhood education within Australia. This accreditation means that graduates of this course are able to register with the Victorian Institute of Teaching. If you are studying this course in another state or territory of Australia, you will need to check the requirements within your own state or territory for teacher accreditation. All 24 credit points in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, which equates to the 24 credit points, are a core part of the course. There is also a 0 credit point integrity unit that is compulsory for all Deakin students. That's an academic integrity course. So now let's have a look at the dual degree. The Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary, the dual degree, is a 32 credit point course that, if studied full-time, takes 4 years to complete. Like the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, the dual degree has both on-campus and online study options. And it also offers the same diploma pathways opportunities. The 32 credit points in the dual degree are made up of 30 core units for 30 credit points, and then 2 specialisation units for your additional 2 credit points. In the specialisations, you can choose from mathematics and numeracy, science or STEM, literacy and languages. Like the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, there is a compulsory 0 credit point academic integrity unit. And in addition, for the dual degree, there is an additional 0 credit point numeracy test and a 0 credit point literacy test that are both compulsory part of the course. These are both needed to be completed before you can graduate from the dual degree. So what will you study in these degrees? So both of these degrees follow the same path for the first 3 years of the course. So Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary students will be in the same classes, studying the same units together for those first 3 years. In both degrees, you'll start learning about child development. So you'll learn about the important role that the early years have for lifelong learning and development, and what your role is to scaffold and support a child's learning and development in the early years. You'll then learn about curriculum studies, how to assess learning, and then respond through planning and teaching strategies. You'll engage in a wide range of discipline areas, including health and physical education, visual and performing arts, language and literacy, mathematics, science, as well as social and cultural studies. You'll learn about the diversity of children and their families within classroom settings and how to respond to those in really inclusive ways. You'll also learn about the important time of transition for young children and their families. That is the experience of moving from home settings to early childhood settings and from early childhood settings into primary school settings. You'll learn about what your role is as an early childhood teacher to connect with families and primary school teachers to ensure that all transitions are positive experiences for all involved. As part of both courses, you will undertake a set number of professional experience days. For the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, professional placement experiences will include the ages of birth to 2 years and 3 to 5 years. There will also be an opportunity for you to complete a placement in the early years of a primary school setting to learn more about the transition process and what it means to your role as an early childhood teacher. It is important to note, though, that this does not mean that you'll be qualified to teach in primary school settings. It's simply to provide you with an experience that will help you understand where children go next after they leave you in the early childhood education environment. And this will help you with your professional knowledge and professional practice if you would like that opportunity. For the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary course, professional placement experiences will also include the ages of birth to 2 years and 3 to 5 years. And you will also undertake professional placement experiences in primary year levels during the 3rd and 4th years of your study. So many people ask, do I have to organise my own placements? No, you don't. We have a team of professional experience officers that organise all placements for you. So you do not need to undertake the difficult role of phoning around early childhood services and schools yourself. A professional experience office has strong partnerships and connections with a wide range of early childhood services, early years management services, and schools throughout Victoria. So when we arrange a placement site for you, we take into consideration your location and your mode of transport so that we can find a placement for you that is suitable and doesn't require you to travel too far. If you are currently working in an early childhood setting, there is an opportunity for you to complete some of your placements in your workplace, but not all, as it's really important that you gain a wide range of experience and receive feedback from a range of mentors, not just those who are your current colleagues. This range of experiences will help you to develop your professional identity as a teacher and help you make decisions about the ways in which you choose to engage in professional education practices. Now, once you graduate from one of these courses, there are a wide range of employment options. If you graduate from the Bachelor of Early Childhood degree, you can be employed as an early childhood education teacher for children aged birth to 5 years in prior to school settings. You might have the opportunity to be employed as an educational leader within your early childhood setting. This means you would be a mentor for other staff in both professional knowledge and professional practice. You could also be a coordinator or a director of your service, or maybe an early childhood advisor. There are also many opportunities for community-based roles. If you graduate from the dual degree, you'll be a little bit more flexible in your work options, as you'll be qualified to work as both an early childhood teacher and as a primary teacher for children from foundation right up until grade 6. As with the single degree, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, you will have a range of other work opportunities, including leadership, community-based and advisory roles. So both of these degrees provide you with a qualification that can be adapted for many roles within the education sector and the community. Now, what does it take to apply for one of these courses? The first step is to take a really close and careful look at the entry requirements. The ATAR score for the courses are not yet available, but on this slide here, we can see last year's score, which can be used as a bit of a guide. If you have a diploma of early childhood education and care, you can apply for either course if your diploma is successfully completed, then you are likely to gain those 8 credit points of credit. If it's partially completed, your diploma, then you will not receive credit for prior learning, so it needs to be a successfully completed diploma to get that credit. You can see here on the slide that the CASPER test is not needed for entry into the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, but it is needed for the dual degree. For both school and non-school leavers, there are a range of other entry requirements, all of which can be found on the Deakin website, but I'll run through a few of them here. For school leavers, you'll need satisfactory completion of 2 of the eligible maths units, and you'll need to have a study score of at least 35 in English as an additional language, or at least 25 in English other than EAL. For non-school leavers, you'll need either a completed diploma, successful completion of at least 2 Deakin equivalent units at another higher education institute, other evidence of demonstrating your ability to meet the academic requirements of the course, or attainment of an ungraded diploma of early childhood education and care. Both of these latter entry requirements also require successful completion of a STAT or uni test. Information about both of these tests can be found online. Just a little bit more about the CASPER test for those of you interested in the dual degree. The CASPER test is a non-academic entry requirement that assesses teaching skills such as communication, teamwork, empathy, ethics, problem solving, and professionalism. The test can be completed online and at home. It involves a range of scenarios and open-ended questions, costs about $80 to complete, and information can also be found online. For diploma holders, as I said, if you successfully completed a graded diploma, you can receive 8 credit points, equivalent to the first year of either degree. If your diploma of early childhood education and care is over 10 years old, you will be required to provide additional documentation to show that your skills and knowledge are current in order to receive this credit. If this is the situation you are in, then we will provide you with guidance upon applying for the course. If you have an ungraded diploma, then you will need to sit the STAT or uni test. Now, I'd like to talk briefly to you about an initiative we have here at Deakin University called the Employment-Based Pathway. This is an initiative that is being offered by Deakin University in partnership with the Department of Education and Training. The Employment-Based Pathway initiative provides an opportunity for diploma qualified educators to upskill their qualification through our employment-based fast track, leading to becoming a degree qualified educator sooner. A degree qualified teacher sooner. This program aims to increase the number of people studying initial teacher education in early childhood in order to address the acute early childhood teaching workforce supplies that we're currently experiencing here in Victoria. This initiative also supports economic and social recovery in Victoria in these post-pandemic times. The employment-based initiative is structured so that your degree can be completed in 18 months. It's important to note that it's still a 3-year degree and it has the same workload of a 3-year degree. Because you have completed the Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care, in order to come into this employment-based program, it means that you will enter the degree in the 2nd year. You'll then be able to utilise Deakin's 3-trimester system to enrol in units over trimester 3, which runs from November to February, to fast-track your course completion from 24 months down to 18 months. If you are successful as an applicant in the Employment-Based Pathway Initiative, you'll be able to complete all of your placements within your workplace, as long as your workplace is able to support the placement requirements and meets the Employment-Based Pathway Initiative requirements for workplaces. Students in the Employment-Based Pathway will receive a $30,000 scholarship from the Department of Education and Training to support you while you're studying. A large portion of this grant is paid to you at the beginning of the course and can be used in a variety of ways to support you while you're studying. The remaining funds will be paid to you at the end of the course, once you've been working within the field as an early childhood teacher for a specific amount of time. As well as the scholarship to you directly, your employer will receive a $10,000 initiative to again support you while you are studying. This incentive may be used to pay for backfill so that you can reduce your study days down to a part-time workload so that you can manage your study workload during the course. Students in the employment-based pathway are recommended to work in paid employment for no more than 3 days per week so that they can keep up with the full-time study load required of the program. In addition to the financial support, students in the employment-based pathway will receive support from a teaching coach. The teaching coach will work very closely with you and your mentor and your mentor within your employment-based service and with your employer to provide you with ongoing mentoring, counselling and academic support throughout the time of your degree. If you wish to apply for the employment-based pathway, then you need to apply for and be offered a place in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education course first, then apply for the Employment-Based Pathway Initiative. Now, there are only a small number of places in the Employment-Based Pathway Initiative, so not all applicants will be accepted. However, if you're not accepted into the employment-based pathway, there are still a number of beneficial supports in place to help you to complete your degree. These include the opportunity to complete some of your placements in your workplace, support from a professional experience office liaison to find placements in other services, and also having a visit from a professional experience liaison officer during your placements. We also provide the opportunity for you to fast track, just like in the employment-based program, so that you can enrol in units over trimester 3, allowing you to finish your degree in a shorter time frame. There are also financial supports available, such as scholarships available from the Department of Education and Training, and this can all be found online simply by Googling it. So, what if you are joining us as an international student? Please join the International Study Information Sessions to learn about how to apply as an international student, about fees and scholarships available for international students, and international student life here at Deakin. So just to summarise the application process, for school leavers, you need to apply through VTAC. For non-school leavers, you apply directly to Deakin, and international students apply through Deakin through StudyLink. So that brings me to the end of today's presentation. Thank you for joining me to hear about the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and the dual degree, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary. I will be available to answer any questions that you might have in the Q&A session that's coming up next. There's also a web chat available throughout the day if you've got other questions. You can also download our early childhood education courses flyer. You can attend a virtual campus tour, and you can read Deakin student stories on the Deakin website. You can also contact one of our course advisors for more information. So thank you again for spending this time with me today, and we do look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Early Childhood and Early Childhood Primary Education live Q&A session at Deakin University's Virtual Open Day. My name is Associate Professor Amanda Mooney, and I'm our Associate Head of School Teaching and Learning in the School of Education at Deakin. But this morning, I'm here as your MC. So I'm ably joined in our Q&A panel by three of my wonderful colleagues from our early childhood team. Dr. Mandy Cook, who is our course director of both of the programs we're here to talk about this morning. Dr. Natalie Robertson, who is our professional experience coordinator within the early childhood team. And Dr. Nicole Downs, who is our student experience coordinator, so looks after all things student experience. We're also ably supported by many of our colleagues across the school and faculty in the background who are monitoring the chat function to be able to send through to us your questions as they arise after you've watched the pre-recorded session. So for the next 30 minutes or so, we're hoping to get through as many questions as we can. So please use the chat function in the bottom toolbar and post your questions in there, and we will get to them. So I think we might kick off, Mandy, with a question for you, if I can. Sylvia has asked a question about the 2 degree programs and whether the units that you study in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education are the same as the Bachelor of Early Childhood and Primary Education. So I might hand over to you if I can.
Great, thanks, Amanda. And great question, Sylvia. Really valid for the way our courses run. So the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Primary actually start off very similar. So the students in both of those courses are in the same classes and units together, predominantly for the first 3 years of their course. In the 3rd year of the course, the dual degree students start to do a couple of different units, and then in the 4th year, that's where they really focus on the primary education. So the students in both courses will be together predominantly for the first 3 years of their degree.
Great, thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Mandy. Natalie, I've got a question for you. I've got Natalie on the brain. Thinking about, choices that people have at the moment in terms of entry pathways and how they're going to make decisions about what's the best pathway in. We've got a question from a participant who is currently in Year 12, who's looking to make a choice about whether it's better to go do a diploma first, for example, and then a bachelor degree, or whether to come straight into the bachelor degree. So I might hand that one to you if I can.
Sure, no problem. So hi, everyone. Look, this is really a personal preference. Whether you undertake a diploma of early childhood education first and then go on and study your degree, or you come in straight to the Deakin University early childhood courses from Year 1, it's still going to take approximately the same amount of time to complete your degree. My advice would be to think about how you have liked to study over the past 12 months or 24 months of your end of high school experience, and also think about your ATAR score as well. So if you're on the higher end of an ATAR score, then you might like to come straight in via Year 1 of the degree program. If you think you might need a little bit more scaffolded support before starting a university degree, then my advice would be to consider doing the Diploma of Early Childhood Education first and then come into our bachelor program. Either way, as I said, it's going to be the same amount of time, and that's because we've got a built-in pathway from the diploma into our early childhood programs at Deakin, and those with a diploma of early childhood education and care are able to get credit for the first year of study in both our Bachelor of Early Childhood Education and Bachelor of Early Childhood and Primary Education courses. So either way, you'll be completing the courses in the exact same time.
Natalie, while you're on a bit of a roll and given your position as the professional experience coordinator within the early childhood suite, I've got another question here for you about how many placements do you do if you're studying this course online?
So whether you're studying online or whether you're studying our course face-to-face at Burwood, you're going to be doing the exact same number of placements. So if you're enrolled in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education course, which is our 3-year early childhood teaching program, you will undertake 4 placements across your degree, and they equal a total of 80 days of placement in birth to 5-year settings in the prior to school early childhood settings. If you enroll in our 4-year Bachelor of Education and Primary Education degree, then you're going to undertake 6 placements for a total of 115 days. And those placements span across both early childhood and primary school settings.
Thanks, Natalie. Nicole, I've got a question for you here. I'm not sure whether I want to be a kinder teacher or a primary teacher. Is it possible to be qualified in both areas?
Yeah, great question. And it's something that a lot of our students do ask themselves as they're beginning their journey. And of course, you can actually become qualified in both early childhood and primary, which means you could be a kindergarten teacher and also be a primary teacher. This would obviously come down to your choice and what you feel works best for you. And the great thing is that with our flexible study options, you can actually change your mind. If you start with an early childhood degree and then you think, oh, actually, the more I learn about early childhood development and a few placements that I go on and talking to other peers, maybe I do want to have a go at becoming a primary teacher. You can, as Mandy said before, take on that extra year and move towards the primary space.
Thanks. I've got another question here, Mandy. I'm thinking that perhaps between you and Natalie, you might like to respond to this one, but obviously we've got a really exciting initiative embedded in our early childhood program at the moment in partnership with the Department of Education and Training. Somebody has asked a question about interested in the employment-based initiative and talked about the fact that it can be completed within 18 months. I wondered if you could give a little bit more information about that program, please.
Perhaps I'll give a little bit of an overview to it, and then I'll pass over to Natalie because she actually is the academic staff member that oversees that program. So that initiative is really about helping the early childhood workforce. So I think probably most of us are aware that the early childhood workforce is in need of teachers. And so the Department of Education and Deakin University have partnered together to provide support for people who have a diploma qualification already to get recognition for prior learning to come into the second year of the diploma and to finish their qualification in an accelerated form. And I'll let Natalie talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But the other key part of that initiative is that you will be able to do all of your placements in your own workplace. And so this helps the sector because you're not leaving your workplace to go elsewhere to do your placements. And it helps you to continue to work while you are doing your studies. There are a few more things about that initiative that I'll pass over to Natalie to explain.
Sure. So this is a really exciting initiative. And as Mandy said, it is for diploma qualified educators only. And it allows our diploma qualified educators out in the field to study and work. And so as Mandy identified, the course can be finished in 18 months, and this is due to the recognition of prior learning and work experience that you have through your diploma qualification. So you will enter the course at the year 2 through that diploma pathway level of the course. And our early childhood program is accelerated by offering units over trimester 3. So trimester 3 is a period of time where you will study units from the November to February period, where many universities will close for the summer. And so this does allow you to be able to fast track your course without compromising the quality of the learning and study that you're undertaking. So our accelerated early childhood education course, it is still a very high quality course. It's not a tick the box, tick and flick type of course. You are undertaking the full Bachelor of Early Childhood Education course, but with added supports to help you study and work at the same time. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about these supports. So one is that you will gain a financial scholarship from the Department of Education and Training, and this scholarship is worth $30,000, so quite substantial. This scholarship aims to provide you with financial support so that you can reduce your days of work within your workplace while you study. And our recommendation is to work no more than 3 days while you're studying, so that you can have time to log in, either attend our live online classes or listen back to recordings, engage in readings and discussions with your peers online, and also complete your assessment tasks. Your workplace will also receive a $10,000 incentive, and that's to support them to be able to provide backfill for you when you need to undertake placements. Although they're in your workplace, there might be some modifications that are needed to staffing during that time, and also to provide backfill when you reduce your work days down. All students and their workplaces are provided with a teaching coach during the time of study. And this person is an early childhood professional. They are either still working in the field, or they have possibly retired, or could be on maternity leave, but they're all very, they have all hold expertise in early childhood studies. They act as a mentor for you, both in the academic sense and also in the professional sense, and they work very closely with you and your mentor teacher during the placements to build your professional identity as an early childhood teacher.
So Natalie, I guess it's fair to say that within that initiative, and knowing that it is actually only available and open to currently qualified diploma level early childhood teachers, that there are a range of supports that recognise and help to provide the bridge between what you're studying through your units and how you're applying that in the workplace setting. For those that are enrolled in our courses in other modes so outside of the employment-based initiative, there are also a number of support processes that exist, and someone like Nicole in her role as a student experience coordinator is able to link people up with some of those required supports. Natalie, I'm going to keep going with you for a moment, because as you were talking about the employment-based initiative, it links to another question that someone has asked in relation to, I guess, the kinds of settings that people can do their early childhood and primary placement professional experiences in. I mean, it's a pretty diverse sector. Do you want to talk a little bit about the context in which people can and are supported to be able to do their professional experience days?
Yeah, sure. So there's many different early childhood settings. The main types of settings that we will place our students in are long daycares and sessional preschools. So for those of you that are new to early childhood, a long daycare education and care settings for children that could be age birth, so 0 right through to age 5. And within those long daycare settings, there are often age group rooms for children of different ages. So for example, our students will undertake a placement with children aged birth to 2 years, and there's often rooms set up in long daycares for children of that age group. Then there might be a separate age group for children aged 2 to 3, then 3 to 4, then 4 to 5. And so typically Children that attend long daycares have parents that work during the day, and the children will be enrolled and attend a long daycare during the times that their parents are working. And there are education programs that are delivered to children by educators and early childhood teachers within those settings. And when you're out on placement, you're provided with a range of different tasks that allows you to practice the skills of educators and teachers' work and contribute to that learning program that the children engage in. Now, a long daycare is in contrast to a sessional preschool. Sessional preschools run by sessions and are delivered to children aged 3 to 5 years. And so children in Victoria, whether they're both 3 or 4 years, they receive 15 hours of funded kindergarten every week per year. And so during those sessional preschools, children aged 3 to 5 years will generally attend the 15 hours per week, and that might be split over 2 days, split over 3 days. It depends on what that particular service is offering. But what we try and do is place you in a range of experiences so that you get to experience both long daycare and sessional preschool contexts. Now, I just wanted to say on that note, sorry, Amanda, that our Deakin University organises all placements for you. So you don't need to do the stressful process of ringing around and trying to find somewhere to go. We've got a team that will work with you to organise all of your placements for you. And the reason for that is because we've got lots of really great partnerships out there to ensure that you have a great experience during all of your placements.
Natalie, as you were talking, I was just thinking, I mean, there never has been a more exciting time to consider a career in early childhood education. The department initiatives that are that have been introduced and that are rolling out steadily at the moment to ensure, like the 3-year-old kinder program, to ensure that all Victorian children have a really high positive experience in early childhood education, I think makes for a really, really exciting exciting prospects, I guess, moving forward. I've got a question for you, Nicole, here, going back to the student experience and thinking about, there's been quite a few questions that have come in about, I guess, the challenges of juggling home, work, study. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how many hours are needed to study or to attend classes at campus, and some advice for people about how they go about that juggle.
Yeah, look, this is such an important consideration when you're thinking about starting at university, because we obviously do recognise that you have very busy home lives. Some of you may be also working, and then you have to come and fit study into this and balance it well. So obviously, depending on whether or not you're on campus or off campus, so online, that will make a difference to how many contact hours you have. So it can be a few hours a week, it can be up to, 18 hours a week, depending on whether you're online or on campus. One of the most important considerations for you, I think, is to recognise that if you do take on your study as a full-time student, that it's essentially like working full-time. So we would expect that about 40 hours a week be given to your studies. If you are full-time and you're undertaking 4 units in a trimester, that would equate to 10 hours per unit per trimester. Now, at the start of the trimester, it might be a little bit less because it sort of, builds up across the 11 weeks, but towards the end of the trimester, it is very busy. So it is important that you have set aside time in your life to commit to your studies, because a lot of the work that you'll be doing, as well as attending classes, online workshops or seminars, will be self-driven learning online using our cloud. So making sure you've put, a few hours a day aside for each unit so that you can, as Natalie said before, read the content, watch recordings, work on your assignments so that they're ready to submit, and that you can pass your units. Yeah, it is really, really important that you do know that it's a fairly big commitment, but it can be easily balanced by going into it with good study skills, good organizational practices, and just time management skills, which we can actually help you with as well. And just on that point, I would like to elaborate further about what Amanda said before. All students receive really good student support throughout their studies. So this can be down to study skills, student wellbeing, career planning, and like I said earlier, with flexible study options so that you can sort of tailor your course to suit your needs over the years.
So Nicole, just to recap and to paraphrase, what you're saying is in terms of that study load, it's equivalent to full-time. Of course, the scheduled learning activities to campus are not all of that 40 hours. There are, on average, somewhere between 10 to 12 hours a week of contact teaching time and classes to attend. And that links to another question, just in relation to, I guess, how the online experience relates to the campus-based experience. And I guess it's fair to say, as a course with the same course material, the same unit learning outcomes, that they are comparable kind of experiences. They're just different. And I guess as a cloud-based student, as someone who chooses to study in the online forum, there's a degree of, I guess, independence that kind of goes with working through some of those materials. I've got a question for you, Mandy, as course director, and this is about admission and entry requirements. So Penny was particularly keen to know a bit about the course entry requirements and what's CASPER? What is that test and what does it involve?
Sure. So as you would have heard in the video that you watched just prior to this Q&A, there are different entry requirements for the 3-year early childhood degree and the 4-year dual early childhood and primary degree. And so these entry requirements, one of the biggest differences is that if you are going into the dual degree, then you do need to pass the CASPER test before you can come into that course. Now, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the CASPER test, but Natalie will jump in if she's got more information. So the CASPER test is administered outside of the university. I believe it's done online. Is that correct, Natalie?
Correct.
The CASPER test is assessing, I guess, general skills and capabilities to see that you have the overall, I guess, demeanour and capabilities to become a teacher. And that is required for the primary part of the dual degree. It is not required for you to become an early childhood teacher. Do you have anything to add to that about the CASPER test, Natalie?
Yeah, just that it's quite friendly. You're just provided with a series of, I guess, ethical dilemmas, and you'll be asked through prompted questions how you might respond to those ethical dilemmas. And so, yeah, as Mandy said, you do it online. You can do it from your workplace, your home. You could be in bed, so you can make yourself quite comfortable as no one can see you.
So Natalie, I guess one of the things in relation to the CASPER test is that it sits as a requirement for primary and secondary teachers in Victoria at the moment as part of accredited programs. It's something that is designed, you can't necessarily study for it. It's something that is designed to test what we call your non-academic attributes. So Mandy gave some examples before. Other things are things like your motivation to teach. So they're looking at those personal kind of attributes. Mandy, I've got another question for you here. If a participant came into the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, but then decided that they wanted to actually become qualified to teach across both early childhood and primary, are they able to transfer?
Absolutely, they are. You can transfer at any time from the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education into the dual degree. Probably one of the biggest things to be aware of in doing that transfer is that there is an additional requirement to graduate from the dual degree, and there's another test you need to do, and this is called the LAMTITE, and it is a literacy and a maths test that is required in order to graduate from any, I believe, any primary or secondary course, and so you don't need that if you're in the single strand early childhood, but to graduate from the dual degree, you do. So you can transfer across at any time, but you need to keep in mind that you will need to do and pass that test before you can graduate.
got another question for you. Is do all early childhood teachers need to be registered in Victoria?
Sorry, that was for me. Yes, absolutely. All early childhood teachers do need to be registered with the Victorian Institute of Teaching, and that registration process can take place as soon as you graduate from your course.
I've got another question from Ash here, who was particularly interested in specific units that the course has within its course structure that addresses educating children with, I guess, diverse abilities. So I wondered if you had a particular example you might be able to talk about with that, Mandy.
I'm actually going to pass that one over to Nicole, because Nicole is the unit chair for our unit that focuses on this area.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mandy. So at first I'd like to say we do have a focus of this in all of our units. Essentially, you'll find this sort of content embedded in a lot of the things that we talk about throughout your course. But in particular, we have one unit that is purely focused on children with learning delays or different abilities, and that's centered around inclusive education. So we spend an entire unit focusing on breaking down all the different areas relating to inclusive education. We conceptualize inclusivity, talk about equitable practice and how to promote diversity, embrace the individual strengths, needs and interests of each child and family. So I think that if that's something that you're interested in, you will really enjoy that unit.
And I guess, Nicole, thinking particularly about the Bachelor of Education, Bachelor of Early Childhood and Primary Education, because that course is aligned with the Australian Professional Standards for Graduate Teachers, there are a number of those standards that are explicitly focused on supporting learners with diverse abilities. So, for example, the ability to be able to differentiate in terms of work out where a learner is at and what are going to be the kinds of learning activities that are helping them to achieve in particular ways. I'm conscious that we are moving towards the end of today's live panel session. We've probably got time for a couple more questions, but I should have probably mentioned earlier that if questions come up that haven't been answered in today's session, we do have a team of experts that are on for the day, and you can continue to lodge your questions there and somebody will monitor that and get back to you. Natalie, I'm going to send one of this question to you in particular, because we talked already about, I guess, the really exciting opportunities in early childhood at the moment with a lot of the department initiatives that are going on. Are most people employed after doing this course? And do you kind of foresee that there is likely to be continued growth over the next few years for graduates in the workplace?
Absolutely. So at the moment, there is a big shortage of early childhood teachers out in the field. And so graduates are being snapped up so quickly when they do finish their studies. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this particular shortage. And the main one is that the state of Victoria is really ahead of the game here in comparison to other states and territories in Australia, because we're in the process of rolling out funding the 3-year-old kindergarten programs. So you might remember me saying a few moments ago about the 15 hours of funding for both 3- and 4-year-old aged children. Well, that funding for the 3-year-old aged children has just started. And so that ensures that all children within the state of Victoria have access to free kindergarten from the ages of 3 through to the age of 5, just before they start school. So what this has meant is that we need teachers to teach our 3-year-olds. And so that's why it's never been a better time to study early childhood teaching. You'll definitely be able to gain employment upon finishing your degree, but also there's some really exciting initiatives out there for you. So we spoke quite specifically about the great accelerated early childhood education program before, where you can undertake placements in your workplace. But if you're not part of that program, there are also other initiatives available for you. And so students that are enrolled in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, our 3-year teaching degree, they can apply for a scholarship with the Department of Education and Training for, I believe at the moment it's up to $26,000. And so that is paid in installments over the course of your degree and once you graduate. But it's worthwhile taking into consideration when you are thinking about which degree is right for you as you start your application process.
So Nat, I think just to add some numbers to that, by 2029, the current workforce projections are that Victoria is going to need an additional 4,000 early childhood teachers and 2,000 educators. So this is why we're really excited and why we, would strongly encourage you to consider options in early childhood education moving forward. I'm really sorry, everyone, but unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If there have been questions that you've got that haven't been answered, please continue to post those. And we've really enjoyed talking to you on this Sunday morning. Thank you.